There was a chain-link fence about 7 feet high at the edge of the playground, on the near side of Goldsmith Avenue, and a wire fence set in posts at the wooded edge of the truck farm on the far side, and since no houses had yet gone up anywhere nearby, and there was never much foot or automobile traffic to speak of, an almost sylvan seclusion was conveniently provided there for the neighborhood's tiny handful of losers to pursue their pleasures out of harm's way. The closest I'd ever come to one of these sinister conclaves before was when, during some playground game, I'd had to chase a ball that had rolled to where they all huddled together, just beyond the fence, uttering imprecations at one another and saving their sweet talk for the dice. Now I was no righteous little foe of crap-shooting, and I had begged Alvin to teach me how to play one afternoon when he was still on crutches, and my mother had instructed me to accompany him to his dentist's appointment and do things like drop his fare into the fare box and hold his crutches for him while he hopped onto the street from the bus's back door. That night, when everyone else had gone to sleep, and we'd switched off the table lamp on the stand between our beds, he watched with a smile as by the beam of my flashlight I whispered, "Dice be nice," and soundlessly rolled 3 consecutive 7s across my sheets. Yet as I watched him now, in the clutches of his inferiors, and remembered that all my family had sacrificed to prevent him from turning himself into a replica of Shushie, every obscenity I'd learned as his roommate flooded foully into my mind. I cursed him on behalf of my father, my mother, and especially my ostracized brother. Was it for this that all of us had agreed to endure Alvin's objectionable behavior towards Sandy? Was it for this that he'd run off to fight in the war? I thought, take your fucking metal gimp and shove it. If only he would learn his lesson by losing every last penny of his disability pension, but in fact he couldn't stop himself from winning any more than he could stop himself from abandoning the desire to ever again be anyone's hero, and having already raked in a big wad of bills, he held the dice to my lips, and, in a gravelly voice with which he intended to be funny for his friends, instructed me, "Blow 'em, baby!" I blew. He rolled and won yet again. "6 and 1? Making what?" he asked. 7, I obediently answered, the hard way. Shushie reached down to muss my hair and began calling me Alvin's mascot, as though mascot could encompass what I'd resolved to be for Alvin since he'd come home, as though a word so hollow and childish could account for why Alvin's King George medal was pinned to my undershirt. Shushie was dressed in a chocolate-colored double-breasted gabardine suit, with pegged trousers and wide padded shoulders and flamboyant lapels, his favorite get-up whenever he went bopping around the neighborhood, snapping his fingers, and in my mother's words, wasting his life, while back in their tiny attic flat, his mother hemmed 100 dresses a day to meet the family's bills. When he missed his point, Alvin drew all his winnings together and ostentatiously stuffed the bundle into his pocket, the man who broke the bank behind the high school. Then, grasping the chain-link fence, he pulled himself to his feet. I knew, and not just from observing the tortured way he began limping about to get himself going, that a big boil had erupted on his stump the night before, and that he wasn't in the best of shape that day, but he refused any longer to be seen on crutches by anyone outside the family, and before going off to team up with sleazy Shushie and spend another day blatantly repudiating all the ideas that had made him a cripple, he harnessed the stump onto the prosthesis, however much it hurt. "Goddamn leg maker," was all he said by way of complaint as he came up to put his hand on my shoulder. "Can I go home now?" I whispered. "Sure, why not?" And then he took 2 $10 bills out of his pocket, nearly half my father's weekly paycheck, and flattened them against the palm of my hand. Never before had money seemed like something alive. And we'll pause there.